Hello once again, Sagittarius, and Happy New Year. It's January 2016. I'm Dadhichi from astrology.com.au with the month of January in focus. A few of the transits that are going to likely influence you. Just a bit of a sneak preview. The more detailed analysis, pardon me, can be found at my website, astrology.com.au. And, you are, still going under this Saturn transit. Just going. It's pretty difficult. You've got your ruling planet in probably one of the best sectors of the zodiac, the 10th house, which is your professional sector, but you've got this reverse square from Saturn, the challenger. So no doubt we can say and see that this current period is one where you can expand and do well in your work and your profession and within yourself, feel as though you're expanding, but it is going to happen with great difficulty. It's sort of like extracting blood out of a stone for some of you born under the sign of the Centaur. You've got the saving grace of Venus now transiting through this sun sign of yours, and up until the 9th, that too is probably going to be checked by Saturn as it comes into conjunction with Saturn, indicating a direct aspect to your 7th house of partnerships and relationships. So that is, again, substantiating what I've said there, that things can move forward for you, but it's almost like step forward, 2 steps back, another step forward, 3 back. So it takes a little bit of time for you to actually extract the goodness out of these transits. Interestingly, the 2nd house of your horoscope, which is the finance sector, contains the transiting sun, the very, very slowest moving planet, Pluto, and Mercury, which is the ruler of your 7th house, and the planet which dominates your personal relationships, your marriage, spouse and partner, that sort of thing. It does some interesting stuff this month for you. Most people have heard of the retrograde periods of Mercury, and you're going to have exactly that. Mercury moving into your 3rd house of communications and short journeys, only to transit back out in reverse motion, I think around the 9th. If I'm not mistaken, let's have a look at that. Mercury retrogrades back on the 9th the 6th. My apologies. On the 6th, it will move back or tend back into the 2nd house to do a revision of your finances and that sort of thing. And in that process, it's going to transit back over Pluto. It's going to move. It's going to move into conjunction with the Sun. So a lot of stuff there seems to be focused on money, finance, earnings, and that sort of thing. But be warned that the retrogression of this communications planet, that planet which rules your significant other, and also the general public, by the way, it is a public relations and communications planet per se, and that tells us that what you anticipate is going to happen in that area may not actually happen according to your plans. So you need to be very, very watchful of the people that you're dealing with. Again, ruling the 7th house. Other people are very much implicated in the unusual behavior of this retrogressive planet. Also, the very, very significant lunation is that of the new moon taking place here in the 2nd house. This is a new surge of energy. The new moons, the full moons, the eclipses are very, very powerful sources of energy, and we see that happening in your zone of income has a lot to say, along with these other planets, Pluto and Mercury, about the way you're earning money, the intensity and focus, and the fact now that you've got a new moon here, close on the heels of that retrograde Mercury. I would suggest that you are having some second thoughts, not just about the way you earn money, but money itself, what constitutes value for you. I was only thinking about this the other day that, if you look back across the years back into your life when you maybe didn't have much money, say when you were 4 or 5, you're pretty happy. I think generally we're pretty happy as kids. We had nothing. We sort of relied on the universe and our parents. And as we got older and amassed money and acquired things, houses, cars, buses and trains, planes, whatever it is, my perception is that we generally become more and more unhappy. So I think along these lines, your thought processes might be trying to analyse, well, why is it that, I've got all of this, I'm not happy, perhaps the type of work you're doing is not satisfying you. You'll start to think along these lines and try to establish and intuit what it is about money and the acquisition of things that is right for you or isn't right for you. With Jupiter, the moon, and the North Node, the karmic point in your career sector, it's quite likely too. And this is, let me just tell you, this won't happen this month. Well, it will happen this month. You've actually got a very powerful conjunction of Jupiter and the North Node. Hindu astrologers call this Guru Chandala Yoga. And it can usually elicit a very powerful departure from conservative ways. So you're thinking now, brought on by perhaps some crisis in your work or the issue of money, the way you're viewing your material life, what you value or have valued for many, many years, could be coming under the microscope now. You will be analysing this, and many of you will be realising that a change is absolutely necessary right now if you're going to regain that happiness and self-composure. That's a good thing. Sometimes these crises are the seeds of really great things in our life, and you don't want to become stagnant. So on one level, you're feeling stagnant with that Venus-Saturn conjunction. Thereafter, Venus will move past that. You will get through this. Trust me, Sag, you'll get through it. We see some excellent aspects there after that conjunction. On the 13th and 14th, we have on the 13th, particularly leading up to that, the trine of Venus to Uranus. Uranus is in your 5th house. This is pretty good for romance and love affairs. Let's depart away from all that negative stuff and that heavy-duty value system stuff. Uranus in your 5th house gives you novel and unusual opportunities. Unusual people can come into your life. And just as I said, you're maybe changing the way you look at your work. Could be that you're changing the way you look at relationships as well. You maybe want some spice, a little bit of salt and pepper, a bit of coriander. Always, adds a bit more flavour to the dish. And that's exactly what will happen. It's a very favourable aspect, in fact. And also around that time, we see the Mercury trine Jupiter taking place up to the 15th. So that middle part of the month is looking very, very hopeful, and it's actually going to give you some excellent opportunities in relationships. Be careful around the 18th with Venus moving to the square. That's the right angle of Jupiter. That's a bit of an excessive trait. Venus ruling your 11th house of profits, and Jupiter, they're ruling your rising sign, well, the sun sign anyhow, and that can show us that you're probably trying a little bit too hard in your work, exerting a lot of energy in that area, and you need to maybe pace yourself a little bit. Probably the frustration of not achieving what you want as quickly as you would like is causing you to push a little bit harder. Now, there was another aspect that would also indicate that, and that is and it's a favourable aspect in a strange sort of way. That's on the 18th, leading up to the 18th, Mars, which is in the trine aspect to Neptune. Now, it's interesting that I've jumped across this, glossed over it. On the 4th, Mars moves to your 12th house, which is really a very, very spiritual house. And Neptune, a spiritual planet, indicates that just maybe the way out of this dilemma, if you're in a dilemma, maybe you're not, for those of you that are, the 12th house really indicates that the solutions to all of this don't come from bank loans or people extending any sort of material help to you. This is distinctly help of a spiritual or psychological nature. And I'll be saying that transit on the 18th is very useful in terms of drawing in some otherworldly energies, if you want to call it that. The fact of the matter is that it will not be brute strength that is going to win the day. And you need to think about that. This could be calmly collecting your thoughts and your energies, meditating quietly on the problem, just going within yourself. And when you think about it historically, all of the great inventions and things that we have at our disposal right now began within the heart or the mind of a human being. So don't underestimate the power of going within to get the solutions to what's happening without, is what I'm saying. And they are the perfect sorts of transits for you, Sagittarius, at that particular time. On the 24th, the full moon in Leo adds weight to what I've just said there. The 9th house is the other very, very spiritual house of the zodiac. That indicates not only spirituality, but long-distance journeys, legal matters, higher educational pursuits. You could have some breakthrough at that time and an emotional sort of outpouring or connectedness to what it is you're doing in any of those areas that I've just mentioned. On the 26th, 2 days after, you've got that thumbs up from Mercury moving into direct motion again in that second house of finance, then moving into the conjunction of Pluto. And the final day of the month, Venus in the sextile, a 60-degree aspect to Neptune from the second house to the fourth house, bringing with it some good news or opportunities in terms of your real estate, financing, housing, financing vehicles too. In the Eastern tradition of astrology, this fourth house has to do with vehicles and the larger ticket items and acquisitions that you might be contemplating. So there it is in a nutshell. I've probably glossed over a few things. I know astrological peers will be sort of sending me messages telling me, oh, you left out this aspect of that. I've left out quite a few, but that is why I say to you, if you want the more detailed analysis on this at the website, my website, astrology.com.au, we have the textual version of the month in focus, along with the fact that I've just uploaded all of the 12-month overview for each of the 12 star signs, and I'm sure you're going to want to have a look at that to contextualize what's happening here in the first month, January of 2016. Look forward to your company there and again here in February. Thanks for joining me. Good luck. Happy New Year again. Bye-bye for now.